All right, let's talk about something that's at the heart of pretty much any project, the people. How do you get the right team with the right skills, doing the right thing at the right time? It really all comes down to how you manage your most valuable asset, your team.
So, yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How do you actually build a winning team? How do you get a group of individuals to come together and create something amazing? The answer? Well, it's not as straightforward as you might think.
In fact, when you look at project management, it really boils down to two completely different and kind of opposing ways of thinking about this whole thing.
Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got the traditional approach. The best way to think of this is command and control. You have a project manager at the top, directing all the pieces. Then on the other side, you've got the agile approach, empower and adapt. This philosophy is all about building teams that can manage themselves and, you guessed it, adapt to change.
So let's start right where every project has to begin, the planning stage. We're calling this laying the foundation, and it really highlights the difference between having a super rigid blueprint versus a more flexible map to guide you.
This is always step one, right? Before you write a single line of code or lay a single brick, you've got to decide who's responsible for what.
And boom, right away you see a massive difference. In a traditional project, it's the manager who defines everyone's role, usually from the top down, using these very structured charts. But in the Agile world, the team figures it out together. They define their own roles and create flexible agreements that can change as the project evolves.
Now, a classic tool in that traditional toolbox is something called the RACI matrix. It's this chart that spells out exactly who is responsible for actually doing the work, who is accountable for making sure it gets done right, who needs to be consulted for their opinion, and who just needs to be kept informed. The whole point is to leave zero room for confusion.
All right, so people know their roles. That's great. But the next huge question is, how much work are we actually talking about here? How long is this all going to take?
And again, the two philosophies could not be more different. The traditional way tries to predict everything from the very beginning, creating this one giant forecast of exactly how many hours it'll take. Agile, on the other hand, is adaptive. It just plans for short little bursts of work, maybe 2 weeks at a time. And it uses something called velocity, which is really just a fancy way of saying how much stuff did we get done last time, to figure out what they can do next.
Okay, so the plan is taking shape. Let's move on to the next phase, assembling the crew. This is where we stop talking about plans on paper and start bringing actual people into the mix.
You've got your plan, you've got some estimates, now you need the team that's actually going to do the work. You know, in a traditional setup, people can sometimes feel like chess pieces. The manager assigns them to a project, moves them around as needed. The Agile approach is, well, it's pretty radical. It believes in creating stable, dedicated teams that stick together for the long haul. Sometimes these teams even form on their own, coming together organically around the work that needs to be done.
So getting the team together is one thing, but helping them get better, learn new skills, and just gel as a unit, that's a whole other challenge, isn't it?
The old school way often involves formal training programs, planned out by a manager. But in Agile, learning is something that happens every single day, baked right into the work. It happens in retrospectives, where the team looks back and asks, how can we do better? And it happens constantly, through learning from each other.
A perfect example of this is a technique called pair programming. This is where two developers literally sit together at one computer. One person, the driver, is writing the code, and the other, the navigator, is watching, reviewing, and thinking ahead. It's an amazing way to share knowledge and catch mistakes in real time.
All right, so the team is planned, they're assembled, and they're growing. Now we get into the thick of it, the execution phase. We're calling this navigating the project, and it really shows the difference between commanding a team and coaching one.
So the work is happening, things are moving. How do you keep track of progress? How do you give feedback? And what happens when people disagree? A traditional project manager is the one who tracks everyone's performance, gives the feedback, and steps in to solve problems. But an Agile team, they manage themselves. They hold each other accountable. Feedback is happening all the time, from peer to peer, and when conflicts pop up, the team works together to solve them.
Now, you might be wondering, how does that even work? Well, it's possible because of a totally different leadership style called servant leadership. In this model, the leader's #1 job is to serve the team. They're not there to give orders. They're there to coach, to help, and this is the big one, to get obstacles out of the team's way so they can do their best work.
So that's the people side. But how do you control the work itself to make sure everything keeps flowing smoothly and nothing gets stuck?
Traditional control is all about formal reports, spreadsheets, and audits. If someone runs out of work, the manager reassigns them. Agile control is way more visual and immediate. Teams use tools like Kanban boards, where you can literally see the work moving. And when something gets stuck, when there's a bottleneck, they don't wait for a manager. They do something called swarming.
So what in the world is swarming? It sounds intense, but it's actually a pretty simple, powerful idea. Here's how it works. Step 1, the team sees a problem, a piece of work that's stuck. Step 2, a bunch of team members immediately jump on that one problem together. They swarm it. Step 3, they solve it and clear the bottleneck. And step 4, just like that, the work starts flowing smoothly again. It's all about the team solving its own problems fast.
Okay, we have gone through this entire journey, from planning to execution, looking at these two very different worlds. So let's bring it all home and talk about choosing your approach, the final takeaway. When you see it all laid out like this, side by side, wow, the difference is just so clear, isn't it? From planning and estimating, to acquiring and developing the team, to managing and controlling the work. One approach is all top-down, predictive, and led by a manager. The other is bottom-up, adaptive, and led by the team itself. But if you want to boil it all down to one single idea, it's this. The traditional approach is built for predictability. It's like a train on a track. It's very good at going to a known destination. The agile approach is built for adaptability. It's more like a river, able to change course and navigate around unexpected obstacles. And so that really leaves us with just one final question to think about. In a world that seems to be changing faster and faster every single day, which philosophy are you going to choose?